Look, I get it. The ingredients list seems like a great place to start when it comes to comparing two different diets for your dog and choosing the best one for your furry family member. The reality is, though, that dog food manufacturers, they know what you're looking for, and while they can't lie, or while they don't lie on their food labels, they do have a number of cunning tricks up their sleeves to help convince you to buy their diet. And after running through some of the most common pitfalls that you really need to avoid, I'll give you some important questions that you need to be asking that dog food manufacturer that may be found on the label but may take further research. Hi, I'm veterinarian Dr. Alex from Our Pets Health, where my aim is to help you understand and optimise your dog's health so that they can live the full and happy life that you want for them. And before we dive into these pitfalls to avoid, it's really important when you're looking at the ingredients list to know that the manufacturers list that in order of weight. So the ingredients that make up a higher percentage of that diet are listed first, and these gradually get smaller and smaller as you go down that ingredients list. Now, manufacturers can't purposefully lie in this list, unlike some other terms that I've spoken about in another video, but there are a few tricks that they have up their sleeve. And by far the biggest trick is to try and convince you that there's more meat in the diet and fewer grains in the diet than you might want, because manufacturers know that grains are currently public enemy number one, although that's often quite unjustified and people don't like seeing those in their dog's diet. But they also know that people want a dog food that contains an awful lot of meat, and so the manufacturers can trick you by modifying the ingredients list in a number of different ways. The first way is to actually split the grains out, so use a couple of different grain sources, and that means that those two ingredients are split and so contained further down in the ingredients list. It might even be the same ingredient that they split out, so they might contain maize gluten, maize flour, something like that, rather than just saying maize. And again, these two ingredients will have a slightly smaller percentage of each one, and so can be further down that ingredients list. The other trick you might see is actually combining all of the different meat components that go into that diet. So it might say meat content as the first ingredient, but then in brackets we'll say chicken, beef, liver, poultry, something like that. And that means that all of those different ingredients, which may be further down the ingredients list if they were itemized separately, are all bumped up because combined they have a greater percentage. The next trick is to add superfoods to your dog's diet. Now, you might not think that that's such a bad thing. The reality is, though, that superfoods are very often things that are thought of to maybe give a boost to human health. There's actually often very little evidence behind that, but as well as the fact that there probably isn't any benefit to your dog anyway, they're also only contained in really small amounts, just so much that they can be added to your dog food ingredient list. So they are simply added to attract your eye, to attract your attention, and so convince you that the diet is healthier than it may otherwise be. The addition of exotic ingredients comes next, and by this I mean ingredients that aren't traditionally used in the manufacturing of dogs' diets. Now, have you ever seen a diet with kangaroo or crocodile or such other ingredients that you wouldn't normally see? Again, these are often added to catch the eye, to convince you that it's a really healthy diet. And these additional ingredients are often combined with terms like natural or hypoallergenic, which aren't protected terms, which I've discussed in another video. And the simple fact is that there isn't a great deal of experience when it comes to formulating diets with these ingredients, or there's no significant history of dogs being fed these diets for a long period of time to ensure that they are actually healthy and optimal for your dog. A clear example of this is the problem we've had with potential increases in heart disease in dogs that have been fed diets that are rich in lentils, peas and potatoes, all ingredients that were added to diets as substitutes for grains because people don't want to feed their dogs grains. Again, that's not potentially justified at all. So really, unless your dog does have a specific intolerance or allergy to their food, which really isn't as common as you might think, these exotic ingredients really play no benefit to their health. And then the final problem with using the ingredients list to try and choose between different diets is that there is no indicator of quality. You can get the same ingredient that comes from different sources and varies considerably in the quality of that processing and the quality of that ingredient. And there's just no way to know this when it comes to simply reading the ingredients list on a pack of dog food. There are, though, some very important questions that you can seek answers for that really will help you decide whether a particular dog food is right for you and your family. And the first is, where is that food manufactured? If it's a home brand diet, then the chances are that's outsourced. It's a third party that's packaged the food with that particular branding on. So you want to be finding out where that manufacturer is. Next, you want to find out what the quality controls are. Is each batch tested? Which tests are run? Are there any certifications or stamps or quality control seals that have been added and have been obtained to give you a bit more confidence that that food is a really high valued product and has tight quality control? How many qualified dog nutritionists are employed by this company? Now, you might think it's a given that companies employ a multitude of experts in this field, but you'd be surprised that some don't actually employ any nutritionists at all. And then how are these diets tested? What's their AFCO or nutritional adequacy statement? Are they simply analysed in a laboratory? Are feeding trials conducted? Is there something else that's been done? You really need to find this information, and that often is included on the labelling of a particular pet food. And then finally, how many calories are in the food? That might be per can, might be per 100 grams, per kilogram, whatever it is. It's surprising how often this crucial piece of information is missing from a dog's food. And it's really important because obesity is a huge problem, and it's only when you know how much energy is in that food you can work out how much you really should be feeding your dog. Now, if you want to dive deeper into the information that you need to decide on the best dog food for your furry family member, make sure you check out my playlist linked on screen now. And until next time, I'm Dr. Alex. This is Our Pets Health, because they're family.